Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome back to the Art of Expression. A couple of weeks ago, I sat down with the beautiful Georgie St Clair. She's a pen and ink artist, a creative well-being guide, and former productivity coach. And Georgie is leading a soft rebellion, really, on the hustle culture, on the forcing things to make things work. And I feel like in that sense, it has a very feminine energy to it. It's beautiful because Georgie's whole philosophy really is it's a permission slip to rest more, to play more, to just make marks on paper that don't make any sense, to create without holding on to an outcome. Her whole philosophy on Substack is be more, do less. And she's a beautiful voice on Substack. I heart recommend that you go follow her, where she shares her art, her insights, and slow living practices, her living life in a more mindful manner. I also love that she says that creativity isn't a luxury, it's a life force. So when we stop trying to be productive, perfect, polished, youthful, we open the gateway to that big F word, freedom. And I love that. I also love that Georgie believes that we are all inherently creative. I believe that too. I believe that we are here to create. So if you're someone who feels like oh, I'm just not creative, or I don't have the time to be creative, or that you feel your creativity must be earned first before, when you've ticked off all your to-dos, then this conversation is definitely for you. And I really hope that it opens up pockets of space within as it did me. Yeah, enjoy. Hey, Georgie, it's so lovely to have you on this conversation. I'm excited.
So am I. It's been so nice
We've,
to connect.
it's lovely. It's the first time we've connected in person, as it were, since we've kind of connected on Substack. I actually found you through one of your notes that went viral. I think it was on account of you being made redundant, I think just before Christmas in
Yeah.
24, and you posted a note about going all in on your new path, your new journey.
Yes.
And that's how I kind of discovered you. Um, when you well, there's so many questions here, but when you describe yourself first and foremost as an artist, but
Yes.
also as a passionate creative well-being advocate and
Yes.
occasional productivity coach, and you believe that creativity isn't a luxury, it's an absolute necessity, it's a part of nourishment for life.
Yes.
So, I would love that. Your whole journey is just so fascinating to me for so many reasons. I would love to know more about your journey from productivity coach to what you're creating now on Substack to the magic that you're
Yeah.
putting out into the world, Georgie.
I love your description. It's so lovely.
It's the truth.
Oh, it's lovely. Oh gosh. Where does one start with that? So so what I say is the productivity coaching came as an accident, really, through my job that I was made redundant from. I originally, I mean, I've always been arty. I wish I'd gone to art school. I didn't go to art school. So that's a lesson for everyone. You don't need to go to art school to be an artist at all.
I love
And
that.
we are born artists. We are all born artists. I've got a sign over there. It says it's the Picasso quotes, and it's the Picasso quote is every child is an artist, but I've crossed out child and I've put grown up. Every grown up
Ah,
is that we are all artists. So, but
mm,
that's how I stay sane, and it's the something that I have to do. It's like the way I look at the world, I've realized in recent years, is the way I look at the world, the way I stay sane is I have to make art. I have to be creative, otherwise I go a bit bonkers. So I have been involved in the art creative industries at certain points in my life as designer, and I was a stop motion animator. And then for a while there, I was doing content creation for Instagram, making stop motion animations. So I was very heavily involved in the social media world. And it was that basically I had a bit of a burnout. a big burnout, and just said to my husband one day, oh, I don't know, what am I doing? I don't know who I am anymore. I'd lost myself to social media and Instagram and algorithms and clients and deadlines, and it was awful. So basically I went on a massive detox, and I stopped doing the content creation. I stopped everything, stopped looking at Instagram, stopped watching Netflix, stopped scrolling literally for 3 months, and got back to drawing. That's kind of where the drawing with pen, analog, bit of a pen and a piece of paper, really simple. Started practicing mindfulness, went to a mindfulness course, started looking into the effects of what was happening in my brain, because I'd found that I couldn't read a book, I couldn't concentrate. My mind was a million miles an hour. So through that sort of really down burnout, what am I doing kind of thing, I turned to mindfulness. I started looking at the research as to what the phones and the technology had done to my brain. I started drawing again. And then because I loved mindfulness so much, I trained as a mindfulness teacher. And I also, during that time, so we're talking about a 3 or 4 year period that this happened over, from that initial, I closed my business, and what did I do for work? Oh, I worked at a university. That was it. I was a technician, and COVID happened. Yes, I remember now. Such a blur, Susie, I tell you.
Yeah, I think the last 5 years has been a bit of a blur for a lot of us.
It's like, what was I doing? How did I make money?
Where am I?
There was something else in there. Yes, I worked at a university in the art department as a technician, and did a little bit of lecturing as well here and there. So I did make some money, and at the same time was training. So I became a digital wellbeing coach. I became a mindfulness teacher, and through that very shortened version of the story, I got the job as a facilitator with the company that I was made redundant with. I'd worked there for 3 or 4 years. And through that, because I was a trained coach, because I was a mindfulness teacher, because I was a facilitator and could run workshops and this kind of thing, it was all online, I then got into the productivity coaching. So through my own experience and through the company that I was working for, and I learned a lot about productivity, and because obviously my training as a digital wellbeing coach, I learned about the brain and work and why we're all so distracted. And it really made me appreciate the value of recharge, for part of productivity is recharging. Is so important to take time out. And my way of doing that obviously is drawing. I'm going like this, like you can see what I'm looking at. I've got my drawing here and I've got my sketchbook. So that's what I'm referring to when I go like that. Yeah. So I think that was a fairly short version of a 5-year period, and I hope it made sense.
It made perfect sense. So many questions. On a side note, is there a reason why you go for pen over pencil when you're in your mindfulness flow state kind of a thing?
A couple of reasons. So I've talked about the analog, and also because when I was a stop motion animator and doing stuff on Instagram, everything had to be perfect. It had to be perfect. And the reason I chose pen is because if I make a mistake, I can't fix it. I have to live with it. And it's like that kind of training as well in mindfulness, isn't it? It's about accepting, watching, not trying necessarily to change. And I find with pen, you make a mistake, it's like, okay, I can't fix that, I have to work with it. So for me, making art is very much it teaches you about living as well.
Georgie, you're speaking my language. I get so excited. You know what you remind me of when I'm listening to you is that I haven't tapped into I was really into Danny Gregory. Have you ever heard of Danny Gregory?
Yes.
He runs something called Sketchbook School.
I love him. How could, yes, so I watch his YouTube
Yeah.
videos all the time and he just calms me down just watching
Yeah.
his videos. I adore him. Yes.
Yeah, I remember buying all his books, and I, because of him for quite some years I got into the habit, and they're all there. I got into the habit of sketching daily, just like a journal, a sketchbook journal. And it was just the most joyous. I look through those journals now, and even in the hardest times, they just beam with joy, because they were just about being in the moment. And even if the drawings were crap, like they just, and that's what I get so excited when I listen to you speak about that. When you said about the perfection of Instagram, and
Mm,
you mentioned somewhere, I wonder whether I can find it. You said when after being made redundant, and you made the decision not to play someone else's tune, not to play to someone else's tune anymore. Um, so I wonder how has that been then on Substack? Has that been easier than you had anticipated, harder than you'd anticipated? Because there are so many people on Substack writing about how to make it on Substack,
yeah,
and it can
100%.
sometimes, you can kind of, sometimes I go down like rabbit holes, and then
Yeah.
I lose my center again. I would love to know what your experience has been.
Oh, I mean, I wrote the post about being made redundant and all that stuff. And then I still fell into that trap, of, all right, I'm going to do Substack now, and I'm going to do YouTube. And it's all got to be wonderful and perfect. And it was like, I tell you what it was like. It was like I got a golden opportunity to be in my studio, and then I filled it with what we've all been told is work, what we've all been told makes us valuable. So for me, it was sitting at a computer, writing content. I thought, right, I've got to do YouTube now. I don't know why I thought I had to do YouTube. I think someone said I'd made a really good video and they could see it on YouTube. So I was like, oh, okay, I better do YouTube then. Um, so it's really hard, and it's only been the last couple of weeks I wrote a post about it to say I'm just pulling back because I've fallen into that trap of, in order to be valuable, I have to make content, and I have to have a business plan, and I have to do the advice that everyone's telling me I should be doing and posting so many times a day and so many times a week, and this is what you should be doing to be successful. And I was getting all the old feelings again, all the backache, the headaches that I was getting before Christmas, before I got made redundant. It was all coming back, and I was like, what's going on? I'm in a really fortunate position at the moment. And I realized it was because I was reading the same sort of, you've got to do this and you've got to do that, and you should be on Notes, and you should be on Instagram, and you should point your Instagram to your Substack and and then it's like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, what would I say to one of my clients? I would just say, just pull back. Just there's no, you're not, I am in a really fortunate position at the moment, not forever, but at the moment, that I can just pull back and take advantage of this situation. But my automatic pilot was to work, to be productive. And it's really hard to break out of that. And it's a constant battle every day. Does that answer the question?
Yes, the whole, you being a productivity coach, it fascinates me. Because I would imagine, and I would love you to tell me if this is a truth, but I would imagine that it's very, very kind of mindset driven. I would love to hear about that, but also what myths then you had to bust through
Yeah.
around being productive.
Yes. Oh, well, I mean, I use the word, Susie, I use the word productivity, but I hate the word productivity because
Mm.
actually, I probably would be more of an, I'm just admitting it now, I'm a bit of an anti productivity, in that I don't like the word productivity, and I don't like what it, that, when that, like you said, oh, it's like, mindset, do this, do that, get this done, tick that off. And I'm more of a recharge coach, maybe. I don't know. I couldn't think of a better word for it. So I've said productivity coach, because in my job, if you want people to understand what you're going to bring them, you have to use these words, because that's what people understand. It's going to help me get things done. But when you come in through the door or into the group, I was doing group coaching, it was very much what is important to you, your why. That was always the first thing we'd start with, why. And so that's the one thing. That's your motivator. If you know your why, that's your motivator. And your why, your job isn't just about, oh, I want to make money. Quite often it's about, I want to make an impact on this particular group of people. I want to provide for my family. I want to give back to my community. And if you can get to the crux of your why, those days where you're feeling overwhelmed, if you can just remind yourself of that, that will help drive you forward and keep going. So that's the thing that drives you forward. But another part of productivity is not being productive, is doing nothing, allowing your brain to do nothing, allowing it's the default mode network, I think, is the part of your brain. When you actually do nothing, it has a chance to do its work and have magical things happen. When you go out for a walk, or you're gardening, or you're washing up, that sort of thing. So productivity is making space for nothing. And that's, I guess, where I came up with the whole be more, do less kind of motto, which I renamed more for myself, Susie. I renamed it for myself, so that when I switch it on every time I go to write something, I'm reminded I'm doing less so that I can be more creative, happy, content, do less listening to people telling me what I should be doing, in order that I can be doing the things that bring me joy. So that's, for me, is what I call it productivity. It's purpose, it's permission, it's lots of other P words all wrapped into one. But productivity is about knowing your why, that drives you forward, but also recognizing, in order to get anything done, you have to feel rested, you have to recharge, you have to make time for yourself. And obviously, sort of MO is making time for creativity, because I think we are, I don't think it, we are all innately creative, and we need to express that, whether that's through drawing or knitting or gardening or playing tennis, whatever it is for you.
As well as the P words, I would also say it's a very big capital F word. What you describe sounds like freedom.
Yes, I thought you were going to say something else then.
Okay. Sleuthing freedom.
Yeah, it's a big F. Yeah. Yes, freedom. Exactly. And we don't give ourselves enough freedom, let alone sort of the way things are set up, especially in the work world. But yeah, we don't give ourselves enough freedom to play and experiment, because we're full of shit. We should be doing, like the guy we were talking about, Substack, and we should be on there so many times a week, and we should be doing this. And obviously common sense, there's certain things that work, and there's tried and tested ways of doing things. But if it's boring and it makes you miserable, then don't do it, which is what I'm trying to learn at the moment. I'm not.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I would love to, you don't have to share, but I would love to know your why.
Oh, well, I just want to spread the word of creativity. That's it. I just want people to explore their creativity. That's it. If I have to bring it into one sentence, I could expand on that a lot, but I want everyone to realize how creative they are and how important it is for them, and how it will make them. I don't believe in happiness, but I do believe in contentment as a state.
Yes.
And you're very much, you're into the whole mindfulness space as well. And I think that feeling of everything's as it should be, and I'm moving with the flow, that's the space that I hope to help people move into.
Yeah, I always remember a meditation teacher, Cody Edna, saying that we don't need more time, we need to create more space within. And sometimes that is a moment by moment job.
Yeah, 100%.
And I feel like what you are, teaching, writing about, creating is actually undoing generations of the driven kind of your work, your it equals your worth, your productivity equals your worth, all of that. And so what you're creating is just beyond powerful. Like I remember when you posted that note that I first saw in December or January, I remember thinking you are a perfect example of someone who is taking it, kind of creating, taking so many different aspects of their life that is really sing to them, and kind of then creating something completely unique and wonderful. And I feel like that more and more, that's what we're all desiring. I love that so much.
Oh, thank you, Susie. I
Um,
think, yeah, I think, well, we are, aren't we? I think we're all realizing now that we can play a different tune. Oh, there's this book that's just come to my mind, actually. It's called Giraffes Can't Dance. I used to read it to all three of my children. And that's the premise of the book. There's this giraffe and everyone laughs because he can't dance, but actually he just hasn't found the right music to dance to. And it was just like,
oh,
oh, that's I think that's where we're all at right now. We just need to find
yeah.
music that was, resonates with us.
What a beautiful metaphor. I think you've taken some of your creative well-being workshops into the corporate world. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, done a bit. Yeah.
What would you love workspaces to understand better about the importance of play? I wrote down three things: the connection between creativity, rest, and real productivity.
You can't expect people to be creative or productive unless you allow them time to play and have time out. And I suppose it's why, I mean, it was a bit trendy for a while, wasn't it, when it was the whole startup, not startup, the whole digital, the big, oh my word, I'm getting old, I'm forgetting words. It's around the early 2000s, there was all the digital kind of new media stuff going on, and then Google came along later on, a few years later, and they had the slide and all the workspaces. And when I used to work in London in a sort of a digital media agency, and there was table tennis, and also in Brighton, when I worked here in Brighton for an agency, table tennis. And it was all kind of very, that sort of allowing people to have time out and play and laugh. And it all sounds a bit trendy, or maybe it doesn't, I don't know. But actually it's a really good idea, because that's where you enable people to relax. And if you're really like this, I mean, you know it yourself, if you're really, really stressed and really, really kind of, even in your body language, you'll be tight in your back and everything. Expecting people to be productive and come up with good ideas, it's impossible. So if you allow people to relax, to have fun, to be silly, I don't believe in forced silliness. I have to say that. Like, as an introvert, I hated anything team building. Hated it.
Right, same,
Like,
the same.
awful. It's torture. I'll be ill those days.
Oh dear.
Oh. Or the days, I shouldn't admit this, or the days that we had to do things online, I'd be like, suddenly my internet would go, oh no, oh dear.
Oh dear me, it's not interesting. Say team sports in school, I was just
Oh
hopeless at.
no, get me away.
Always the last to get picked and things
Yeah,
like that.
exactly. It's awful. Oh, do you feel like that as well? Like that whole kind of,
I go into a little bit of a bit of a panic. I'm always aware now if I'm kind of leading I'm hosting a little something this evening. I'm kind of thinking it's nice to kind of invite everyone to share and to introduce themselves, but even that sometimes can be very difficult,
yeah.
a challenge. But then I don't know whether that's to do with actually just fear. So like, yeah. Anyway, I've gone off
It's
on
a
a bit of a
balancing
tangent.
act, isn't it, in these
Yeah,
environments, especially
yeah,
in groups or in corporate environments where everyone's a little bit nervous, and they're
yeah,
nervous, but you want them to feel comfortable and get to know each other.
yeah.
Do you know what? That is exactly when bringing something creative into the fold is really helpful. I've got a game,
Mm.
actually. I'm going off tangent now. I've got a game
No,
that's really
please
good.
tell us about the game.
I've got the deck. I've got a card deck, and it's called something Scribbles. I've slightly amended it because I used to do it on Zoom. anyway, you have 10 things and you have to draw those 10 items. It's a card and you have 10 items and you have to draw them in a minute. 10 items in 1 minute. So you literally just read them out, you know, sock, vest, trousers, and you've got this minute to draw them. But it's really fast, it's really fun, and then everyone shares their drawings afterwards, and that breaks the ice, because not only are they doing something silly that it's going to look rubbish, you know, and then if you turn, when everyone turns it around and they all look at each other's drawings, it's like, oh, you got 10, oh, you didn't get 10, oh, look at your sock, it looks like a horse, you know, like silliness, and then you sort of break the ice. Creative.
Yes.
Yeah.
Play.
Play,
Oh, give
exactly.
me all the play, Georgie. Need all the play.
All the play, exactly.
I'm so aware of your time, but I would love to know how often, if ever, you face resistance in your own creative process, and if that is the case, how do you overcome that?
Oh God, 100%. Like every minute of the day, there's resistance. There's that little voice going, you should be doing something more productive, Georgie. This isn't a good use of time. That voice again. And I'm just learning to ignore it. It really is as simple as that. I don't really, it is pushing through the thoughts. Again, I go on about it, but this is my thing, isn't it? Drawing. I draw because I allows the thoughts to go right through. They're like little clouds passing by. Oh yeah, let's just ignore that. That's the inner critic. That's the perfectionist. That's the imposter. Let them go. But I do struggle with resistance all the time. But I've realized now it's just a voice. I don't have to listen to it. So just push through. And the productivity advice would be, do 2 minutes, do 3 minutes, do 5 minutes, just do something. Just, you know, open, if it's work, open up the spreadsheet. That's your first step. Break everything down into tiny little steps. So if it's work and you're resisting that, open up the spreadsheet, put something in one cell. You know, if it's writing, write a word, write a sentence, you know, and then just keep building on that, like Lego.
That's a wonderful, winsome wisdom, isn't it? To kind of chunk down. Definitely. You mentioned neuroaesthetics. And I don't think and also you were a digital well-being coach, which I have something I've not heard of. I'm not sure I've ever really heard of neuroaesthetics. Oh, would you love to delve in?
Fascinating. Yes, I read a book called Your Brain on Art. I can't remember the ladies that wrote it, but Google it. Your Brain on Art. And I can't believe not people are talking about this more. There is scientific evidence to show that when you look at art, listen to music, go into a room that's, you know, designed a certain way, your brain reacts, and it can have, obviously environments can have positive and negative effects on your brain and on your mood and all these sorts of things. But it's the science of it, of how your brain reacts to art and music and the benefits of it. So it isn't, obviously it involves making art, being creative, but it also means consuming art and being creative, consuming other people's creativity. So, well, we all know when we watch a film, you know, how it can evoke tears and joy and laughter and anger. You know, that can happen when you could, whatever you're looking at, so, or listening to. So that's the field, that's the sort of the field of research, and it's absolutely fascinating. I love it. I want to delve more into it. It's something I need to research more. So every time I find a bit, I tend to go on Substack and go, oh, I've heard this, you know, this, you should be going to art galleries and looking at paintings. It's good for you, people.
Yeah. It's just and I think that speaking of art galleries, I think sometimes I've been a little bit of an art sergeant major in any kind of in that situation where you kind of like gotta see everything, gotta read everything, and it just completely misses there's no well-being in that. You end up very, very tired, very antsy pantsy, hangry. Whereas going and being very deliberate about what, sitting and just, or standing and just staring at one painting and then leaving, you know, there's something quite
100%.
quite wonderful about that.
Yes,
I
my
love that.
brain's really bad today, and I keep saying there's someone that wrote a book, and I can't remember their name, but there is someone who literally went and sat. Now, who was it? Maybe I'll email you after this, Susie, with all the names that I've forgotten today. But literally, she went and sat in front of a painting. Was it Oliver Berkman? I can't remember. Anyway, sat in front of a painting for like 2 hours, and that sort of process of just sitting, looking, being with this painting. Obviously, that's extreme. But yeah, I think art galleries is a great example, because they weren't, again, I'm showing my age. There used to be a time you go to an art gallery and it was really quiet and it was peaceful and you could just wander through the halls. And I'm the same as you. I like to read everything. But it kind of takes the joy out of it as well. And people photographing. This is really interesting. This is really interesting effect. It's called photo impairment effect. And there's research that shows if you go around taking photos of everything when you're out and about, or in an art gallery or a museum, if you're allowed. I know you're not always allowed in art galleries and museums, but if you go around taking photos, you don't take it in. You're not absorbing the experience. So it's like, by taking all the photos, you're not really seeing, except if you get your phone or camera and you zoom in on a detail. So you, like, I'm always taking photos of flowers and their little veins and all that stuff. But if you go, or a museum where you're allowed to take photos, and you see something and you zoom in and you explore it and you take a photo, then you take it in, you absorb that's okay. But it's that kind of general thing where we're looking at everything through a phone. At concerts, it's another one, isn't it? When you go
That's
to
a
a
big
concert,
one.
all the phones come up, you're not
Yeah.
in the experience. It's
Yeah.
fascinating. So yeah, just have a wander through that gallery. Don't get the
Yeah.
little free leaflet and read that maybe before or after, and then just move through the space.
Yes, it's funny because I had an American friend, a late friend, and she was always adamant that what you do is you go to the shop first, see what stands out in the merchandise, and then just go and view that thing.
It's actually quite a nice idea. I like that.
I quite like that.
But do you know that's really cheeky the way they do it, though, isn't it? Because they always put the
Yeah,
shop at the end, so you'd
yeah,
have to go through backwards.
yeah, true.
Or run through the
Oh,
exhibition, get to the shop, not look at anything, and then go back in.
dear, yeah. Do you are you feeling nudged? Is there anything, that you're feeling nudged to express into the world in the coming weeks, months? Oh, is there anything calling you?
Personally, or generally?
Personally, yeah. As regards create something, what you would like
Yes,
to create.
I want to create a body of what there is actually. I was going to say, no, everything's fine. I want to create a body of art, of work that I can exhibit. I am 40 something, 8 now. And for all my life, I have said, I can't be an artist. We're as kids, it's like, yes, you can make pictures, but you've got to get a proper job. And I've lived with that all my life. And it's only now, we were talking about thoughts and ignoring them and pushing through resistance. It's only now I'm thinking all those thoughts that said, you can't do this, Georgie. It's not a real use of your time, and it's not a real job, and it's not a real thing. I'm actually going, no, I'm going to do this. So I'm doing a 30-day project, but I've come up with a 100-day project for my next challenge, where I'm going to be working on a body of work and I'm going to exhibit it somewhere, even if it's in here, and I invite 5 people to come and see it. You can come and see it if you want to. See if everyone comes down to Brighton, come see my studio.
I just love that. Oh my God, Georgie. I feel so it excites me because I know several people whose parents were like they had their passion was art, and they went through school thinking that they were gonna go on to university, and the parents were like, we'll support you with anything but art, no. And and the damage in so many ways of having that kind of, it's the suppression of expression. Oof, I think it
Exactly,
can
it's
be,
terrible.
take its toll,
It
so
really does.
I
Yeah,
feel, yeah,
100%. Yeah.
really.
Yeah, so that yeah, I mean, it's a shame, isn't it? It's a shame that hopefully maybe there's a new generation of, I don't know, even now actually we don't seem to value the arts as much in school and education and things. It doesn't seem to be so much importance placed on the arts in general. So, you know, music, dance, acting, blah blah. But I'm gonna do it. I've
That's
said
why
it to
your
you
work is
now.
so exciting for me. Yeah, it always, anything that evokes emotion for me, I know that there's real truth there, and that's what I feel whenever I hear, see your, what you're creating and conjuring and expressing, and it just I feel, oh yes, Georgie, it's truth, it's freedom.
It's that F word. It's the
Yes.
freedom.
um, just finally, then, on the topic of permission, you're giving yourself permission to do this creative project, 100-day project. What would you, if you could stream magically a little whisper into the ears of anyone listening who just knows that they have something to create into the world, whatever that may be, what would you love to say to them?
Well, the obvious thing is do it, obviously. Just do it. Stop thinking about it and just do it, because something inside is calling you. And then going back to what we talked about earlier, that if there is a resistance and an inner critic, an imposter, all those horrible little voices that we have, take 1 minute right now as you're listening to us chatting. Take 1 minute to do that thing. And I bet you it will turn into 2 minutes or 20 minutes and maybe even 2 hours. That would be lovely. But just take a minute and see where that minute takes you.
Oh, what a wonderful message to conclude on. I love that. And I love you, and I'm just so
Oh,
grateful,
you're
so grateful for
amazing.
your time today, Georgie.
Oh.
Any parting words, anything we've missed that you wanted to say, or
No, it's been lovely. I've just so nice to chat with you. So no, if anybody wants to reach out and needs a bit of cheerleading to get their creative practice going as well, specifically, or want any drawing tips or whatever it is, I'm really open to messaging on Substack and
okay.
email and stuff like that. So yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Georgie St
Susie.
Clair. Thank you so, so much. Hey.